Initially, the Pixels were no-nonsense utilitarian phones, ones with weird designs but great specs and a camera to rival pretty much any flagship phone on the market. But in recent times, the Pixel line, it seems to have developed an identity crisis, and in the process, it's become an afterthought. Now, with the release of the Pixel 6 and the 6 Pro, Google seems to have gotten right back on track. So, what's up with these new Pixels? Hey guys, Ash here from C4eTech, and this is pretty much everything you need to know about the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro. From a design standpoint, the 6 and 6 Pro aren't gonna win any beauty pageants. That's not to say the device isn't well built or would not feel solid in hand. It just doesn't feel like attractiveness was a priority here. This isn't something you're gonna go, wait, what phone is that? With it just, like I said, doesn't look like attractiveness was priority number one here. The camera bump to the back has already spawned off a lot of memes poking fun at it. Well, we even put up a reel. Anyways, regardless of how it looks, cameras on the Pixels have traditionally been the gold standard. The phones that every other flagship that's come out after that has been compared to. Whether it's an iPhone, whether it's an Android phone, whether it's a premium flagship, whether it's a tier 1 flagship, everything gets compared to the Pixels in general. And this one, again, should be no different. The pictures showcased on stage were absolutely breathtaking, but we'll get to that in a bit. Now, for now, the Pixel 6 sports a 6.4-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED panel with a 90Hz refresh, while the 6 Pro has a 6.7-inch Quad HD Plus AMOLED with a 120Hz refresh. I mean, well, yeah, I would have liked to see 120 on both. At least they aren't pulling a Samsung and going 60. And both of these seem to have Gorilla Glass Victus protection, so go nuts. You can drop it from 3.5 feet or whatever. Now, from what we saw on stage, the displays seem to be pretty good, but there's only so much you can guesstimate from a presentation, right? I'm kind of interested to see how Google's version of a 2K 120Hz display looks like. If you guys remember the Pixel 2, the 3, they had quite a few quality control issues. Some users did report blue shifts that made the panel look terrible. But that is ancient history. That is back then. This is now. Let's, cross our fingers and hope it's much better this time around. So Google have also done away with using Qualcomm chips and pulled an Apple designing a custom chip that they call Tensor. While using Qualcomm's SoCs, Google was only able to theoretically provide software updates for 4 years. With their own custom hardware, they're promising 5 years of security updates, but no official word on Android updates. The chip design is based on something called a TPU, which stands for Tensor Processing Unit. Google has been using these TPU chips in their data centers to process various types of information for a lot of years now. The CPU on the Tensor chip is in a configuration of 2 high powerful plus 2 mid powered plus 4 efficiency cores. It's supposed to be 80% faster than the 765G that we saw on the Pixel 5. I mean, that was a mid-range chip, so that's not really saying much. But again, these are all at this point just numbers. With the Tensor chip, Google is essentially putting more emphasis on machine learning. This means Google's taking a unique approach in that they aren't exactly looking at raw CPU or GPU horsepower. Some use cases here for machine learning would be improving live speech-to-text recognition, real-time translation. If what they've shown in the demos translate well to day-to-day use, I'd say it should be a major step forward in bringing some very important features to the forefront and improving the actual experience instead of just competing on numbers like most brands have been doing. Tensor should also help Google unlock all these crazy camera features that they've been hyping up leading to the launch. As computational photography relies a lot on deep learning and machine learning, since this isn't a hardware feature, well, not entirely, the possibilities are endless. They're also integrating something called the Tensor Security Core, which will store personal details like passwords and banking information in a separate module. With the inclusion of the Titan M2 chip, this should help keep sensitive data on your phone safer. Now, the foremost amongst these possibilities is the improvement to the already excellent image processing capabilities of the Pixels. Although they were different sensors, in general, all Pixel phones, they sported, they weren't going crazy with the megapixels. They kind of topped out around the 12 megapixel mark. But this time around, if you're somebody who likes more megapixels, if you feel, hey, more megapixels is better, then we've got a 50 megapixel primary. This is also the first time Google's opted for a triple camera setup. So there's a 12 megapixel ultra wide and a 48 megapixel telephoto, at least on the 6 Pro. The regular Pixel 6 does not have that telephoto. Google mentioned some new software features like Magic Eraser. If you remember, this is something Google brought up all the way back in 2017 at Google I/O. It's taken a long while to get here, but the implementation, it is finally here. We should be able to remove elements from pictures that we've already shot. There's also a feature called Face Unblur where the primary and ultrawide cameras take an image at different shutter speeds and piece it together to get a final image where the subject's face shouldn't be blurred even if there's fast movement. And the sensor's gotten a lot larger, so night mode should be better than ever too. One more feature that Google put a lot of emphasis on when they were presenting stuff was real tone. With image processing algorithms mostly being tuned for limited skin tones, just another way of saying, lighter skin tones generally get better results. With darker skin tones, we tend to see a lot more stuff get messed up. Google claims that shouldn't be happening anymore with the new Pixels. As for video capabilities, 4K 60 FPS with similar dynamic range to what we've been seeing with the images. They're going to be using something called HDRnet. Now, these are all hardware stuff. The real magic here is going to lie in how that Tensor chip, the TPU cores, and set camera hardware integrate. What is Google going to do that is going to make or break these cameras? This might as well, it might end up being Google's best cameras ever, or rather the best cameras on a smartphone ever. Or it might not. Now, guys, I can't, at the start of this video, what I said was there's been an identity crisis with the Pixels. Google's kind of almost been going through the motions with the Pixel launches for the past few years. This is probably the first time since the Pixel 3 that I can't wait to get my hands on and start testing all this out. Now, if you have any particular questions, leave them in the comments below and I will try to address them once I get my hands on the new Pixels. I will try to get my hands on them as quickly as possible. BT other sundries worth mentioning include IP68 dust and water resistance, an under-display fingerprint scanner, and of course, headphone jack and micro SD are not there. It's a Pixel. With regards to RAM storage, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 or 256 gigs of storage on the Pixel 6, 12 gigs of RAM, 128 to 512 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage on the 6 Pro. Keeping all this up and running is a 4614 mAh battery on the 6, 5004 mAh battery on the 6 Pro. Charging speeds top out at 30 watts. Now, the pricing is another area that I actually found quite interesting. The Pixel 6 starts at $600 and the Pro 900. So it does seem to be, good value, at least on paper. Like I said, I can't wait to get my hands on these phones. So for now, this is pretty much everything you need to know about the Pixel 6 and the 6 Pro. What do you guys think of Google's latest Pixels? Do you think they missed a trick by not doing something? Is there something that you are looking forward to that's not on these phones? Or do you feel they've nailed pretty much everything? And like me, you can't wait to get your hands on these phones either. Let me know in the comments below. And with that, end of the video, thumbs up, thumbs down, based on whatever you felt about it. Subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon if you haven't yet, and thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash, you've been watching C4 Retech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.